Welcome to the rise and fall of the first British Empire. Why are there not more people talking about England's early ambitions? England in the late 16th century was a nation on the rise. Ruled by the ambitious Queen Elizabeth I, it sought to expand its influence on the world stage. England's gaze turned towards the vast opportunities presented by exploration and trade. Inspired by the voyages of explorers like Sir Francis Drake and Walter Raleigh, England aimed to establish itself as a major maritime power. This ambition, fueled by a desire for wealth and national glory, planted the seeds for what would become the First British Empire. England's early attempts at colonization were met with mixed success. The Roanoke Colony, established in North America in 1585, mysteriously vanished. However, these early endeavors provided valuable lessons and fueled England's determination to establish a lasting presence overseas. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 marked a turning point, solidifying England's naval dominance and paving the way for further expansion. With the dawn of the 17th century, English exploration and colonization gained momentum. The East India Company, chartered in 1600, established trading posts in India, marking the beginning of British influence in the East. Simultaneously, settlements began to take root in North America. Jamestown, founded in 1607, became the first permanent English settlement in what is now the United States. Driven by a combination of economic opportunity, religious freedom, and a desire for land, English colonists began to carve out new lives for themselves across the Atlantic. These early settlements faced numerous challenges, including harsh climates, conflicts with indigenous populations, and internal disputes. However, they persevered, laying the foundation for future waves of colonization. The establishment of Plymouth in 1620 by the Pilgrims, seeking religious freedom, further shaped the cultural and religious landscape of North America. As more English settlers arrived, the colonies grew and their ties with England deepened, forming the bedrock of the burgeoning British Empire. The rise of the British Empire was not peaceful. It was marked by intense competition with other European powers, particularly France. The 17th and 18th centuries saw wars shaping the geopolitical landscape. The Anglo-Dutch Wars secured England's dominance at sea and control over trade routes. The Treaty of Breda in 1667 gave England control of New Amsterdam, later New York. The French and Indian Wars and the 7 Years' War resulted in significant territorial gains for Britain. The Treaty of Paris in 1763 solidified Britain's dominance in North America and India. The British Empire was built on a foundation of trade and economic exploitation. The acquisition of colonies provided access to vast resources and new markets for English goods. The triangular trade, a complex system of exchange between Europe, Africa, and the Americas, fueled England's economic engine. Raw materials like sugar, tobacco, and cotton flowed from the colonies to England, where they were processed and consumed or re-exported. In return, England exported manufactured goods to its colonies, creating a captive market for its products. The wealth generated by the empire had a profound impact on English society. It enriched the coffers of the monarchy and the merchant class, leading to the growth of cities and the expansion of industry. The profits from the slave trade in particular played a significant role in financing England's industrial revolution. However, this prosperity came at a high moral cost, as millions of Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas and subjected to brutal conditions under the system of chattel slavery. So, Section 5, a tapestry of cultures, exchanges, and impacts. The British Empire, while built on exploitation, also facilitated cultural exchange between different parts of the world. The movement of people, goods, and ideas across the empire led to the diffusion of languages, customs, and beliefs. English, as the language of the ruling power, spread throughout the colonies, becoming a global lingua franca. British legal systems and institutions were also introduced in many parts of the empire, leaving a lasting impact on their governance. The cultural exchange, however, was not always equal or beneficial. British colonialism often led to the suppression of indigenous cultures and languages. The imposition of British values and beliefs sometimes resulted in conflict and resistance. The relationship between the colonizers and the colonized was complex and often characterized by power imbalances and exploitation. Nevertheless, the cultural interactions within the empire left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the cultural landscape we see today. Section 6. Seeds of Discontent. Growing tensions within the empire. As the British Empire expanded, so too did the challenges of governing such a vast and diverse territory. The colonies, initially dependent on England, began to develop their own identities and interests. The distance between England and its colonies, coupled with growing local autonomy, led to tensions and disagreements. The colonists increasingly resented what they perceived as unfair taxation and restrictive trade policies imposed by the British Parliament. The British government, burdened by the costs of maintaining its empire and defending its interests abroad, sought to increase revenue from its colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765, which imposed a tax on printed materials in the American colonies, was met with widespread resistance. The colonists argued that they should not be subjected to taxation without representation in Parliament. This marked a turning point in the relationship between England and its American colonies, setting the stage for a showdown that would redefine the British Empire. Section 7. The American Revolution, a turning point. The simmering discontent in the American colonies finally boiled over in 1775 with the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. Fueled by the ideals of Enlightenment philosophy and a desire for self-governance, the colonists took up arms against British rule. The Declaration of Independence in 1776, penned by Thomas Jefferson, proclaimed the colonies' right to break away from England and form a new nation based on the principles of liberty and equality. The American Revolution was a long and costly conflict, both for England and the colonies. The colonists, aided by France and other European powers eager to see Britain weakened, fought valiantly for their independence. The British, despite their military superiority, faced logistical challenges and a determined enemy fighting on their own soil. The British defeat at Yorktown in 1781 proved decisive, leading to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which formally recognized the independence of the United States of America. Section 8. The Empire Transformed Legacy and Consequences. The loss of the American colonies marked a turning point in the history of the British Empire. It forced a reassessment of colonial policies and led to a shift in focus towards other parts of the empire, particularly India and the East. The British East India Company, already a powerful force in India, expanded its control over the subcontinent in the wake of the American Revolution. By the 19th century, India had become the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, a source of immense wealth and strategic importance. Despite the loss of the American colonies, the British Empire continued to expand throughout the 19th century. Driven by a combination of economic, political, and strategic motives, Britain acquired new colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. This second British Empire, however, was different from its predecessor. It was marked by a more centralized and bureaucratic administration, a growing sense of British nationalism, and a renewed emphasis on civilizing its colonial subjects. The enduring impact of the First British Empire. The First British Empire, spanning from the late 16th to the late 18th centuries, left an indelible mark on the world. It shaped the geopolitical landscape and transformed global trade. Built on exploitation, it also spread ideas of democracy and individual liberty. The legacy of the first British Empire is complex and multifaceted. It is a story of ambition, conflict, and enduring consequences. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more historical content.